Vincent J. Russo is here with another In the Legal Know. And boy, today he has very important information on a federal aid program to help people diagnosed with 9/11 related illnesses. You know, today, 22 years later, so many people are still suffering and dying. And so, Vincent, I'm so glad you're here today. Let's just start with the law.
Right. And you're so right, 22 years later, and so many people are still suffering, and in the future, others will be as well. So the James Zadruga Health and Compensation Act of 2010. That's the Zadruga Act, and that's the key law that Congress passed to help people who either passed away as a victim of the attacks, to compensate their families, or people who are suffering from the aftermath, the illnesses that have come from the debris, the buildings collapse, those who are residing in that area. It's interesting, the law itself, because it kind of had a windy road with some struggles. And so just to outline a little timeline here, President Obama signed the act in 2011. There was no really an issue there, but it expired on October 1st of 2015. So it needed to be reauthorized. And Jon Stewart and first responders went to Congress and they testified, and it was passed and extended for a period of 75 years. But then 4 years later, there was a funding issue, that there wouldn't be enough funds. It was shocking to see how many people needed help. And so, again, another battle ensued in Congress. Jon Stewart and first responders came to testify, and then it passed in July of 2019, the Never Forget the Heroes, James Zadruga, Ray Pfeiffer, Luis Alvarez, permanent authorization of the Victims' Compensation Fund. So we have it. It's there to help people who need the help.
Thanks to a lot of people who fought so hard. Right. So what is a settlement for a 9/11 victim?
Okay. So there are statutory amounts in the law. For a victim who passes away, it's $250,000 for wrongful death, $100,000 in addition for a spouse, and $100,000 for each dependents of that individual. So it's not going to replace the loss, but it's an effort to help those families move forward. If it's an injury, then there's another rule that comes in, and it gets a little more complicated. And it's basically a $250,000 amount, but it can be adjusted up or down depending on if the illness is cancer-related or non-cancer related. So the key here is to make sure that if you were in that area of 9/11, and there's a designated area, or if you already have symptoms of illness, different illnesses, that could be related to 9/11, I would get guidance from an experienced law firm that focuses on 9/11 claims.
Yes, because some people think it's just for police and firefighters.
Right.
They don't know that if you were in that area, like you said, anytime between 9/11 and May of 2002,
right,
you are eligible.
That's right.
And I was surprised to read that, you know, there could be potentially 400,000 people out there who are eligible, and only 10% have looked into these benefits because they don't know about it.
Right. There's been over 10,000 claims already from people suffering from cancer. And so when the permanent authorization came in, claims can be made up to October 1st of 2090.
Great, okay.
But there's a registration process, and there's a 2-year rule. That's why I would say if you were in the area, and even if you are not currently suffering from an illness related to the attacks, I would go and see one of the experienced attorneys in this area of law. And so here are some of the illnesses that are covered. Cancers, all different types of cancers, airway and digestive disorders, acute traumatic injuries, musculoskeletal disorders, and that's only for the responders.
Okay.
So there are some tweaks in the law and limitations. And mental health conditions are not covered under the Act, but they are covered under the World Trade Center Health Program. So it's something one would have to look into.
And let's stress again, get some help because people can still make claims.
Correct.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. As we remember our 9/11 heroes, and you did this last year, and I'm hoping you'll do it again. Just share the story of the man in the red bandana.
Yes, I will. And I try not to get too emotional.
I know, it's pretty hard.
So when the plane hit the North Tower, anyone in 80th floor or above were basically lost. But there was an individual up on the 102nd floor who got his way down to the 78th floor, where he realized that there were, as determined later, 17 people, some of them severely injured, and they had nowhere to go at that point. And he was wearing a red bandana. I brought the red bandana. It's a similar bandana that he was wearing. And he said to the people on the floor, if you're able to stand up and help the person next to you. And he literally found a way down to the 61st floor, saving 17 people. And he could have went down and out of the tower, but he went back up 3 times. And then he was lost when the towers collapsed. And his parents had no idea what happened till there were stories by people who survived because of his efforts. And it was reported in the New York Times. And Allison Crowder, the mother, realized reading the article that it was her son, Wells. And the story behind the bandana is that when he was a young boy, 6 years old, his father sat him down and said, when you go to church or a special event, we're going to put a handkerchief in the front of your jacket, but you're never going to blow your nose using that handkerchief. He handed him the bandana and said, you put this in your back pocket, and that's where you blow your nose and put it back in your back pocket. So he always kept the bandana in his back pocket wherever he went. He was a lacrosse player at Boston College, my alma mater as well. And he symbolized the greatest love, helping others, following his Catholic beliefs. Just an incredible hero.
I know. And, our viewers can learn more about Wells Remy Crowther. You have a special story that you did. It's called The Greatest Love, right?
Yes.
Tell everybody where they can find it.
It's on our website, vjrussolaw.com/Family Comes First, because I was very privileged to have the Family Comes First show here for 12 years on CFN before moving into this gig.
And we just saw Wells's parents there.
Yeah,
so, yeah
amazing. And they created a trust fund and give scholarships to students who excel in academics and athletics, and really to support their efforts in the community. And it's thecrowdertrust.org.
So check that out, or check Vincent's website to see more on the story. Vincent, thanks so much.
My pleasure.